In any 1 week, the world over, 9 out of 10 adults complain of an illness. It could be anything from headache, cough, backache to anxiety or fever. 9 out of 10 adults. To restore their health, 1 in 4 of these adults take over-the-counter medicines. These are medicines that you can buy without prescription. Think cough syrups or aspirin. These drugs commonly relieve aches, pains and itches. In India, one of their reigning champions is this pill, Meftal-Spas. It is used to relieve pain. It is a fan favorite among women with menstrual cramps and patients suffering from arthritis. So much so that Meftal is a household name at this point. But now there is a government alert against it. Meftal-Spas has come under fire. The government of India has identified safety issues with this drug, mostly related to the DRESS syndrome. Now, what is that? What is the DRESS syndrome? DRESS is short for drug reaction with eosinophilia and systemic symptoms. It's basically linked to fever, skin rashes, blood abnormalities, and it has a mortality rate of about 10%. But persistent use of Meftal-Spas can cause other problems too. A lot of them. On the upside, the possibility of such reactions is rare. Nonetheless, it is scary, especially given the supply and consumption of such drugs. Meftal-Spas is not supposed to be sold the way it is. It is not an over-the-counter drug. It is not supposed to be a monthly BFF. This is a prescription drug, to be taken only when prescribed by a doctor, and yet most people pop the pill on their own. And this is not a unique example of self-medication. It is rampant in India. Reports say 52% of Indians self-medicate. 52%, more than half. And why just Indians? The world over, people self-medicate. It got worse during the pandemic. That's when nearly half of the world was taking medicines without a doctor's guidance. The prevalence was the highest in Asia and the lowest in Europe. But it did happen the world over. This culture of self-medication is a major health concern. It contributes to medical errors, medication errors rather, which kills over 3 million people every year. And we're not saying that over-the-counter meds are all bad. Access to these drugs is very important. It releases the government's time and resources. For instance, this year, birth control pills were approved for sale without a prescription in America. And that's good news. Over-the-counter drugs usually have negligible side effects. They do not require explanations or prescriptions, so access to medicines becomes easy and wide, especially in developing countries. I'll give you one more example. Like Zambia, Senegal and Tunisia, where everyday medicines like paracetamol are sold for far more money. Sometimes 30 times the cost in the US and the UK. In such situations, over-the-counter drugs can be life-saving. But that is not always the case. Sometimes unsafe or banned drugs enter the market and they're sold at local pharmacies. Like in 2010, chemists were selling banned painkillers in India. In 2015, banned drugs were found in sports supplements sold across Northern Ireland. This year, muscle-building drugs known to cause liver problems were being sold across Britain. And these are extreme cases, but in some scenarios, even relatively safe drugs come with side effects. Medicines used as sleep aids, like Benadryl and Demerol. They increase the risk of dementia. In other cases, drug overuse can cause problems, like in the case of antibiotics. According to a government report last year, a majority of Indians have become highly resistant to life-saving antibiotics thanks to unnecessary dosage and self-medication for trivial ailments. So my point is quite simple. It's not always the medicines. It's the trend of self-medicating that is dangerous. There may be a pill for almost every problem, but when use of over-the-counter medicines becomes over the top, it is a cause for concern. So we say, choose wisely.